Until now, in this course, we looked at JUnit. We understood why we need unit testing and understood the basics of unit testing, the basic annotations, and also the basic assert methods. We looked at a couple of advanced scenarios, testing exceptions and performance. We looked at parameterized tests and test suites as well. Our Mockito section of the course is divided into 18 different steps. In the first few steps, we start with understanding the basics of Mockito and basics of mocking. What are the other alternatives that you have for mocking? And we would move slowly into the advanced features of Mockito, where we would discuss about different annotations and Mockito runners. We will also integrate Mockito with PowerMock to enable us to mock static methods and constructors. We have enhanced the Mockito section of the course to make it easy for you to follow the course. So each of these steps you have a separate file. So for the step 1 of Mockito, you can click the step 1 of .md and you would see what we would be doing during that particular course and also the useful snippets that would be useful for doing that particular step and the code at the end of that particular step. So for each of the steps of Mockito, starting from step 1 to step 18, you would have the different MD files. For example, if I click this step 12.md, you'd be able to understand what we would be doing during that step, what are the useful snippets for that particular thing as well. Also, in some of the steps, you would see the code associated with it. Let's now start having fun with Mockito. As with all the in 28-minute tutorials and courses, we would start this one in a hands-on way as well. So before we discuss a lot of theory about Mockito, we would start with our step 1 and try and set up a project where we can start discussing things much more. So this is step 1 where we would learn how to set up an Eclipse project with JUnit and Mockito frameworks, and we would end this step once we have a successful unit test. If you have already followed the JUnit course and come up to here, most of these steps should be very easy for you. So it should be a quick step where we get started with JUnit and Mockito. I will launch up Eclipse. You can enter any workspace folder in here. I'm entering Mockito August 2016. That's basically when I'm creating this particular course. Or you can click browse and browse to a specific folder. The workspace is kind of the folder where Eclipse would store all these files. So I'll enter a workspace and click OK. When you launch up a new workspace, Eclipse would bring this particular window up. I'm not really interested in this right now, so I'll just close this. And I would want to start by creating a new Java Maven project. So I would start with File, New Maven project. Maven is very useful in maintaining dependencies. With JUnit and Mockito, I would want to be able to use these frameworks. I don't want to go to the repositories and download the jars and put them in the build path. Maven is a tool which helps us make it very easy to manage dependencies. If you have no previous experience with Maven, that's not a problem at all. In this course, you'd be able to follow and understand what are the basic things about Maven. You can start off, I'm doing a cancel again, so it's File, New Maven project, or you can actually say File, New Project and type in Maven. Or the other way of getting this here is right click here and say New Project and type in Maven. So any of the ways you would want to start, that's okay. So type in Maven. We want to create a new project, so New Maven project, and click Next. So I would choose the default workspace location. The other thing is I would also want to create a very simple Maven project. So these two checkboxes you can check in and say next. And one of the things with Maven is you need to give a name to the project that you are creating. So this is a new project I'm creating, so I have to name it. And just like a Java class, we have a package. Similar to that, for any project, you need to have a group ID. So I'll just put in com.in28minutes.mockito as the group ID and the artifact ID as Mockito example. So you can actually put anything that you would want in here. I'm just saying com.in28minutes Mockito and Mockito example as the thing. So or Mockito course, and I'm going to click finish. When the project opens up, on the top left folder, you should see all these folders inside the Mockito course. So you'd see source main Java, source main resources, source test Java, and source test resources. Typical Java project, you would have all your source code in source main Java and all your tests in source test Java. That's exactly what we followed during our JUnit course as well. So we write all the code in source main Java and all the tests in source test Java. In a typical Maven project, you also have a pom.xml. Pom.xml is the place where you would declare all the dependencies that you would want. Let's open the pom.xml. Double click on it and it would open this where I can actually click the pom.xml to see what's in there. Right now it's a very simple XML file. There's not a lot of details in there. There's a group ID, artifact ID, and version. In this project, we would want to learn JUnits and Mockito. So we want to use Mockito. So we would want Maven now to download Mockito and JUnit for us. How do we do that? The way we do that is by adding something called a dependency. So just go and add in dependencies, and the dependency that we would want to add in are JUnit and Mockito. I've made it easy for you by actually going in and actually making the dependencies available on the GitHub. So if you look at this step 1, this contains the dependencies section right here. So you can actually take this dependencies section, and instead of typing in dependencies, you can actually start off fresh and actually paste this in. So what you do see right now is these dependencies will be downloaded and added in here. That's the magic of Maven. So now you have these jars downloaded by Maven and made available as part of Maven dependencies for this project. And that's the beauty of Maven, and that's the reason why we are using Maven in this particular project. So instead of downloading the JUnit jar and making it available in the build path, what we are doing is we are using Maven's pom.xml to download these jars and make them available for us. We have a dependency JUnit, and we are using 4.12 version of JUnit here and 1.10.9 version of Mockito. So these are the two dependencies which we added in, and here are all the stuff that we would need to run this particular project. So let's get started and start creating a small test to check whether everything is working fine. So I would start with source test Java because we want to create a new unit test. I would create it in source test Java. Right click, new. I would want to create a test class. So I would say test JUnit test case and click next and say new JUnit for test. That's good. Since you are already familiar with JUnit, I would go ahead and quickly create this particular test. So I would call this first Mockito test. I mean, there's nothing Mockito in there yet, and I would want to put this in the package com.in28minutes.mockito, and I would go ahead and click the finish button. So this would create a small test for us, and I'll remove this fail. I would add a simple assert true true. This is a funny test because this is actually not testing anything, but just to make sure that there is something being tested, I just added it in to have some fun, and there you go. So there you see the green bar again. So the way I'm running the test is right click run as JUnit test. So that's basically what we are doing to run this test. So what we have done during this step is that we actually created a simple Maven project, added in two small dependencies, JUnit and Mockito. So Mockito is the thing that we are going to use in this particular course. So we added the Mockito dependency, and also we wrote a simple test. This test is not yet using anything from Mockito yet. We will start with using Mockito very soon. Until the next step, bye bye.